Pop, come on, let's go, come on. My name is John Bunker, and I live on Super Chili Farm in Palermo, Maine. We grow vegetables and many different fruits, including 300 or 400 different apple varieties. I got into farming by accident. While I was at college, I bought this land with two friends. It was 180 acres, and back then, which was 1971, they were practically giving it away. Immediately upon moving here, I started to notice the old apple trees around town. They were everywhere. And I noticed the apples were falling. They were dropping all over the lawns of people around town, and no one was doing anything with them. And there was just apples everywhere. So I'd knock on people's doors and say, I noticed your apples. Could I have some of them? And they would say invariably, sure, take them all. So I had cardboard boxes and bags and baskets and whatever I could find, and I'd start collecting apples. I didn't know one apple from another. I knew there was green ones and red ones. One by one, I began to learn the varieties and to be fascinated by the histories and the stories. The vast majority of these old varieties are for cooking. And I would go to meetings of commercial apple growers, and they would all poo-poo the old varieties and say, cut them all down, get rid of them, they're no good, plant Max and Cortlands. And so I thought, these trees that I'm getting to know, these ancient trees, these were gifts to us from people who are long gone. It was, to me, arrogant to see this gift and then let it die. What I love most about apple growing is the partnership that I feel between me and the tree. Agriculture, in its broadest sense, is a partnership between a person and a plant. And for me, with the apples and the apple trees, it's about that partnership. Growing a great apple requires a commitment. It's not easy, but it's not hard either. It's not that much different than learning to take apart and put together an engine or learning to play a violin. They are all skills that require a love and a commitment. I started making apple pies about 20 years ago. I had been fruit exploring, looking for apples, grafting them, saving them for, nearly 20 years before I realized, I really need to focus on making apple pies. I started to make pies with every apple I came across, every one of these old varieties that I'd find, I'd make a pie. When you make an apple pie, the variety that you use is very important. Each one has its own distinctive flavor. Find good pie apples. Go to commercial orchards that have farm stands. Find what varieties near you are known as being good pie apples and try making single variety pies. Ultimately, the best pie will be a blend of varieties, but you can't learn until you begin to make single variety pies and start to sort out which ones behave the way you want them to and taste the way you want them to. Today I'm going to make an apple pie using 3 different apples. Somerset of Maine, Redfield, and has red flesh, and a sort of Duchess type. The perfect pie apple is usually somewhat on the acidic side. They need to bake fairly quickly. We want it to hold up the crust. We want it to stay firm and needs to taste great. The way that I measure how many apples to cut up is I put them in the pie pan with no crust at all. And then when it looks like it's nicely rounded, then they're my apples. I like 3 spices in particular: cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. I'm not really a dessert person. I guess you might say I don't even really consider apple pie a dessert. I consider it a dish or a food. It's wonderful to be able to go put a carrot out of the garden or a tomato off the vine or an apple off the tree, without being too corny. I mean, you're really partaking of the earth on which you live. This is the product of the ground on which you stand. If there was one thing that I wish more people knew about apples, it would be that it's okay to stop by the side of the road when you see an apple tree and take a bite.